वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम् नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमल मालिने नमः कमल पादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वं हा देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Inquisitive souls, let's chant the glorious names of Sri Sitaram. Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram.
Please sing back after me while clapping.
Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, 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 Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram, 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 Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Jai Sitaram,
Sitaram, Sitaram, सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम 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 सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
ओ सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम जय सीताराम 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 जय सीताराम
बोलिए सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। Please turn to page 162 in Bhajan book number 1. Please turn to page 198. Sorry, 198. गाओ सब हिले मिले राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे।
थकहु नाम गाते जब राधे
थकहु नाम गाते जब राधे
गाते जब राधे
गाते जब राधे।
थकहु नाम गाते जब राधे
थकहु नाम गाते जब राधे।
श्वास श्वास जप राधे 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 राधे।
श्वास श्वास जपु राधे 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 राधे।
श्वास श्वास जप राधे 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 राधे।
श्वास श्वास जपु राधे 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 राधे।
जब थकी जाहूँ तब हूँ तो राधे
जब थकी जाऊं तब हूँ तो राधे।
जब थकी जाऊँ तब हूँ तो राधे
जब थकी जाऊं तब हूँ तो राधे
तब हूँ तो राधे
तब हूँ तो राधे
तब हूँ तो राधे
तब हूँ तो राधे।
सुमिरिय नित छवि राधे 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 राधे।
सुमिरिय नित छवि राधे
बोलिए
राधे राधे राधे।
सुमिरिय नित छवि राधे 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 राधे।
सुमिरिय नित छवि राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिले राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे।
करहु कीर्तन या जप राधे
करहु कीर्तन या जप राधे
करहु कीर्तन या जप राधे
करहु कीर्तन या जप राधे।
ध्यान सहित करु राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिले राधे 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 राधे।
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे।
एक ध्यान करो मन महाराधे
एक ध्यान करू मन महाराधे
मन महाराधे
मन महाराधे
मन महाराधे
मन महाराधे
एक ध्यान करो मन महाराधे
एक ध्यान करो मन महाराधे
खड़ी सामने राधे 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 राधे
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 गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे
दूजो ध्यान करहु नित राधे
दूजो ध्यान करहु नित राधे
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 दूजो ध्यान करहु नित राधे
दूजो ध्यान करहु नित राधे
मिलई बेगी अब राधे 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 राधे
निज गुरु इष्ट भक्ति में 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 राधे
रहु अनन्यमति राधे 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 राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
गाओ सब हिले मिले राधे 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 राधे
गाओ सब हिली मिली राधे 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 राधे
रह दुर्भावना कतहूँ राधे
रह दुर्भावन कतहु राधे
रह दुर्भावना कतहूँ राधे
रह दुर्भावन कतहु राधे
उदासीन रहु राधे 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 राधे
उदासीन रहु राधे 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 राधे
उदासीन रहू राधे 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 राधे
उदासीन रहू राधे 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 राधे
गाओ सब हिले मिले राधे 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 राधे
गाओ सब हिले मिले राधे 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 राधे
सब महरह कृपालु तब राधे
सब महरह कृपालु तब राधे
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 सब महरह कृपालु तब राधे
सब महरह कृपालु तब राधे
इहै भाव रखु राधे 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 राधे
है भाव रखु राधे 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 राधे
इहै भाव रखु राधे 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 राधे
है भाव रखु राधे 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 राधे
गाओ सब हिल मिले राधे 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 राधे
गाओ सब हिल मिली राधे 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 राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे राधे
बोलिए राधा रानी महारानी की जय वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय Devotional listeners, now I humbly request your full attention as I resume the topic of Ram and Ramayan. At this point, would you kindly check your cell phone to make sure it has been turned off? Thank you. The Ramayan is the divine story and the divine pastimes of Bhagwan Sri Ram. And in the Ramayan, we have the divine story of Bhagwan Sri Ram on the one hand, and on the other hand, the knowledge of the Vedas. The knowledge of the Vedas has been simplified in the Ramayan. The Ramayan teaches us how to fall in love with God and how to practice devotion. In the Ramayan, otherwise known as Ramcharitmanas of Saint Tulsidas, it is said, Jin Hari Katha Suni Nahi Kana Karna Randhra Ahi Bhavan Samana. The ears that do not hear the glory of God, they're not really ears. They are not fulfilling the purpose of ears. They are mere snake holes. Ahi Bhavan. Ahi means a snake, Bhavan is a house. So they are like snake holes. They're not real ears. Nayanan hi sant daras nahi dekha, lochan mor pankh kar lekha. The eyes that do not behold the divine Guru, God and Guru, they're not real eyes, they're artificial eyes, like on the plumage of the peacock. Peacock feathers have these artificial eyes, it seems. So those eyes that do not behold the darshan, they do not have the darshan of God and Guru, they are artificial eyes. Te sir katu tumbari samtula, je nanamat hari guru padmula. The head that refuses to bow itself before God and Guru is mere burden. That's what it is. Even though it may be decorated with silk and satin and jewelry, but it is a mere burden if it does not bow itself before God and Guru. So even the sense organs, various parts of our body, they're given to us so that we may engage them in devotion. But the real thing is, the real devotion is done. How? Tulsidas Ji says. Tulsidas Ji tells us that the heart that does not break while thinking of God, Jin Hari Bhagati Hridaya Nahi Ani, the heart that does not experience love for Bhagwan Sri Ram, what is it? It is a heart of a dead body. Jeevit shav saman tehi prani. The individual whose heart does not love Bhagwan Sri Ram is just a corpse. It's a living. He seems to be living, but he's actually a corpse. He's a dead body walking around. All our senses must be used towards loving God. They must be used in the service of God. They must be used to love God, so that the heart may feel that love for God. That's the main thing, the heart. Tulsidas Ji also says in his Ramayan, Hiye phatahu phutahu nayan, jarahi so tanuk tehi kehi kam, द्रवहि स्रवहि पुल कहि नहीं तुलसी सुमिरत ram. Hiye phatahu, let that heart be shattered to a million pieces. Phutahu nayan, let those eyes, pierce those eyes with a sharp object. And set fire to the body. Oh, that's so serious. But the heart that does not melt, thinking of Bhagwan Sri Ram, it's useless. So let it be shattered into a million pieces. Eyes that do not shed tears for God, they should be pierced. They're not fulfilling their purpose. And that body should be burnt because it does not experience goosebumps when thinking of God. The Ramayan tells us in strong words that devotion to God is the purpose of life. Loving God is why we were sent here on earth. And all our senses should be used in thinking of God, in the service of God, and in the practice of devotion, so that our heart may feel that love. So if we are sitting here clapping in kirtan, we are using our tongue to chant the glory of Bhagwan Sri Ram. The devotion, the true devotion is in the heart. So why should we be clapping? Why should we be singing? Why should we be playing these musical instruments? It's because all of this helps us to think of God. All of this helps us to feel that love for God, using the beautiful words, divine words, set to divine melodies. Everything we sing over here has been composed by Jagadguru Uttam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj. The melodies also have been gifted to us by him, based on semi-classical Indian music. If it were classical Indian music, hardly anyone would be able to sing them. But this is semi-classical Indian music, so that everyone is able to sing these. These melodies are divine, the words are divine, and all this so that our heart may feel something for God. Because you see, we're living in the material world, and as Vibhishan said to Hanumanji, when Hanumanji came to Vibhishan, when he went to Lanka, he saw that there's one house from where he could hear the name of Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. Hanumanji was thrilled. In Lanka, there is a Ram devotee, a devotee of my Prabhu Sri Ram. Hanumanji went to Vibhishan, and they were so happy seeing one another. Vibhishan says to Hanumanji, Ab mohi bha bharos Hanumanta, binu hari kripa milahi nahi santa. I am convinced, Hanumanji, that my Prabhu Sri Ram has sent you here because a guru, no one can have a guru in life without God willing it so. Without God's grace, no one can come into contact with a divine personality called the guru. Hanumanji asked, how are you? And Vibhishanji said, the younger brother of Ravan, the arch enemy of Bhagwan Sri Ram, he said, Sunahu pavan sut rahani hamari, jimi dashanan hi mahu jibh bichari. What a beautiful analogy. He said, I'm living in Lanka, just like the tongue is living in the mouth, surrounded by teeth. It's always in danger. The teeth may cut the tongue. So I am living in Lanka, surrounded by so many opponents of Bhagwan Sri Ram. I'm living in Lanka, in this environment. We are living in an environment which is not conducive to devotion. Everywhere we go, there's a reminder of the falsehood that the world is ours. There are reminders of falsehood that the world will give you happiness. If you win this mega lottery, then you will become very happy. If you go on a vacation to the Caribbean, you will become incredibly happy. If you wear this brand of jeans, if you wear this brand of sunglasses, the $500 ones, well, you're a winner because you are going to be very, very happy. This is what the world teaches us. People will tell you, invest your money wisely. Invest your money properly. You want to make $1 into 10. You want to make $10 into 100. Invest wisely. Hardly anyone says, you know what, you should donate. You should do charity. The best use of wealth is to give it as charity to the deserving one. People are always giving worldly advice. Go to that store, there's a big sale on. You can get a lot of things over there. Go to Bora Bora for vacation. I went there. It's lovely over there. It's all about the world. Go see that movie. It's incredible. Go see that game. Go see that pop artist. Go see that concert. Go to that game. Everywhere we're just getting this advice. Go to the world. Go closer and closer to the world. We're living in an environment which is not at all conducive to devotion. The Ramayan tells us it's that the teachings of the Ramayan are applicable to every individual living in every country, in any time period. It applies, the teachings apply to everyone at all times. So the Ramayan says, practice devotion to Bhagwan Sri Ram. Practice devotion to God. And yesterday I was talking to you about tears. Tears must be shed for God. The proper way of practicing devotion by oneself, doing sadhana, is to just have some privacy. To sit in solitude and to think about Bhagwan. And when we sit in solitude and we try to think of God, the world comes into our mind, doesn't it? The world comes in a big way. So the Ramayan teaches us, use bhajans and kirtans, use devotional songs. They will help you tremendously. And this subject has been covered, that for these times, for this age of Kali, for Kali Yuga, the only recommended method of taking the mind and uniting it with God is Nam Sankirtan, Gun Kirtan, and Leela Sankirtan. Sankirtan means Nam Leela Gunadi Nam Uchchair Bhasha Tu Kirtanam. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu says, Sankirtan means loud chanting of the names, the attributes, and the pastimes of Bhagwan. When we chant, the subconscious mind gets wonderful ideas. Oh, thoughts of Bhagwan, thoughts of God, thoughts of his pastimes he has enacted on earth. Bhagwan Sri Ram lived on earth for 11,000 years, and we know his story. We know the pastimes. So when we are sitting down to do devotion, we sing bhajans and kirtans, the subconscious mind is getting those wonderful ideas. And we don't even realize that we're becoming more and more devotional. We don't realize it. But when we sit down to chant the names of Bhagwan Sri Ram and we are meditating on him, that's the main thing, not just chanting his names, but meditating on him, doing Roop Dhyan, we are thinking of him, then we are working on our subconscious mind. Not only on the conscious, but on the subconscious mind also. And this is why when you have done kirtan, you go home and then you are sleeping, you falling asleep, or maybe you're awake and all of a sudden you start singing Sita Ram, Sita Ram. What? Where did that come from? Oh, because I heard it in the lecture. I heard it in the satsang. So you start singing that. There was a parent who said to me, after his daughter had been to a youth camp, he said, I am so thrilled. My daughter used to sing songs from the movie Frozen, because that was all the rage. And she was always singing songs from Frozen, the movie. And now she comes home and she's singing, Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala. And he could not contain his excitement. He said, that's amazing that she's singing Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala. Because a child has heard it throughout the day for a few hours, that she has been around in that environment. So that kirtan is in her subconscious mind. So without her realizing it, she's not singing the songs from the movie Frozen. She's singing the names of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Bhajo Giridhar Govind Gopala. We have to realize that chanting alone will not fulfill the purpose. We have to be thinking about Bhagwan Sri Ram lovingly. Milahi na raghupati binu anuraga kiye jog jap gyan biraga. Ramayan says that Bhagwan Sri Ram cannot be attained without love. So love has to be added in that Sankirtan, bhajans and kirtans. They have to include love for God. Otherwise, you can teach a parrot to say Radhe, 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 and the parrot will mimic you and it will say Radhe, Radhe, or the parrot will say Ram, 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 Ram. The parrot has no idea what it's saying, but the owner says, wow, my parrot is so devotional. The parrot has no idea what it's saying. So if we are simply saying Ram, 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 and there's no thought of Ram, we're not thinking of Bhagwan Shri Ram. We're just like the parrot. Oh, I like to sing, so I'm singing this kirtan. So that meditation on Bhagwan Shri Ram is essential. And from the Ramayan we learn, from the beautiful words of the Ramayan, we learn that our love for Bhagwan Shri Ram should grow, it should increase day by day. Siya Ram, Sita Ram, Charan Rati More, Anudin Badhai Anugrah Tore. May my love for Sita and Ram increase, may it grow day by day. Day by day. That greed is wonderful greed. Greed for the world is very damaging. Because in the world, we just never seem to have enough. If we don't control our desires, we just don't have enough. The person who has $1,000 to his name, he says, oh, I don't have any money. But the person who has 10,000 is also saying, I have no money. The one who has 100,000 also says, I have no money. And believe it or not, the one who has $1 million also is saying, I have no money. Times are tough, I have no money. We just never seem to have enough. Jo pratilabh lobh adhikai. Tulsidas ji says, the more you have, the more you want. That is an expression we are familiar with in English. Jo pratilabh lobh adhikai. The more you have, the more you want. Greed is very damaging to the mind. But greed for God, I want to love God more and more. I want to chant His names for more time. I want to think of Him. I want to think of Him more and more. That greed is incredibly beneficial for us. Anger is also very bad. Anger is a very damaging disease of the inner world of our mind. When we get angry, we look terrible also. Someone who is very pleasant looking ends up looking very ugly because when the anger shows on the face, a very beautiful person looks very, very unsightly. Apakarini chet krodha krodha krodhe kathunnute. Our scriptures say, do not get angry at anyone else, get angry at anger itself. When anger comes, say to anger, how dare you come into my mind? How dare you come here and spoil it all for me? Get out of my mind. Get angry at anger. Don't get angry at someone else. So that anger can be turned towards ourselves. Like Dashrath Ji Maharaj, Bhagwan Ram's father, says on his deathbed, Ha Raghunandan pran pirite, tum binu jiyat bahut din beete. O Ram, I have lived without you for too long now. And saying this, with a broken heart, Raja Dashrath, King Dashrath, left his body. He breathed his last. So we too must think, countless lifetimes have passed, and I have not fallen in love with Bhagwan. I have not fallen in love with God. I am so enamored with His creation. I get so excited about something new, about going to a different country. Oh, you know what? I'm going to England. Wow, you're so lucky. Oh my goodness, you're going to have so much fun. Going on vacation, buying some new things, buying a new car. Oh my goodness, my excitement, I can hardly handle it. I'm so excited. I'm jumping up and down. We get so excited about worldly acquisitions. But we have never desired Bhagwan Shri Ram in that way. We have never desired God in that way. I want Bhagwan Shri Ram. I want God. I want Him now. I cannot do without Him. The Ramayan teaches us how to divert our anger towards ourselves and get angry at yourself for not loving God enough. So that anger becomes supremely beneficial. Greed becomes supremely beneficial. Attachments in the world are very damaging. Attachments bring a lot of pain. A child, newborn, has no attachments, so even if the entire family perishes, let's say in an earthquake, that newborn child is rescued, but the newborn child feels no pain because there's no attachment. He's not attached. But we become more and more attached as we get older and older. Attachments in the world keep us away from our goal in life. But attachment to God is supremely beneficial. Again, Sita Rama Charan Rati More. May my love for the lotus feet of Sita and Ram grow day and increase day by day. May I be more and more attached to God. So the Ramayan inspires us to love God. It inspires us to devote our lives to God. It inspires us to include God in our daily life. The Ramayan inspires us to sit in solitude without anyone else present, just with God and our divine Guru with us, and to sing the glory of Bhagwan Shri Ram. And as I had mentioned yesterday, Bhagwan Shri Ram himself says, Mam gun gavat pulak sarira, gad gad gira nayan bahanira. When you sing bhajans and kirtans, and you're thinking of me, then there should be tears flowing from your eyes, there should be goosebumps on your skin, and your voice should be choked with loving emotion. That is the right way of singing bhajans and kirtans. The tears, the goosebumps, the choked voice. And for that we need to remember the pastimes of God. We need to form a relationship with Bhagwan Shri Ram. We need to have a relationship with God. God is not just God, the Supreme Lord and Master. When we think of Him as a Supreme Lord and Master and as nothing more, then we become very, very intimidated by Him. But He inspires us to think of Him as our loving Master, not as a stern Master, but as a loving, loving Master. A master who gives everything to the servant and yet thinks he has not given anything. A master who is sitting at a lower level and his servants are sitting above at a higher level. Bhagwan Shri Ram, during the exile period, he's sitting on the ground in the jungles, and the Vanar Sena, the devotees, they're sitting on the branches of the trees. Prabhu tarutar kapi darupar. Right? So Bhagwan Shri Ram is sitting on a lower level and the monkeys are sitting on the branches of the trees. So he is such a master that he doesn't tell Shabri, how dare you give me fruits that you have tasted first? Shabri was a very devoted woman. She was, in the eyes of the world, a woman from a lower caste. So she was shunned by society. But she was very loved by Bhagwan Shri Ram because she was a true devotee. And her guru, before leaving his body, he had told her, Shabri, one day Bhagwan Shri Ram will pass by. He will come to visit you. He will give you darshan. Because when her guru was leaving his body, she wanted to die with him. But he said, no, it's not your time yet. You will wait for Bhagwan Shri Ram to come. And she waited for years. Every day she would pick flowers and for his pleasure. Every day she would clear the path of stones and thorns. so that he may walk into her cottage easily. Every day she would pick wild fruits and she would eat those fruits, and the sour ones she would discard, the sweet ones she would keep. We are very careful not to give food like that to God. We give food without tasting it. When devotees are making food in the kitchen, they don't want to taste it first. They don't want to taste if is there enough salt, is there enough sugar, is there enough of this, enough of that? No, because God must taste it first. So we present it before God. But Shabari's devotion was such that she's not even mindful of, she doesn't realize what she's doing. She's eating the fruits and then she's offering them. When Bhagwan Sri Ram comes, he visited her for 5 minutes only. 5 minutes. And how do I know this? Because once a devotee was leaving Mangar and she was crying, and Shri Maharaj said, "You were with me in the ashram for so long. Do you know that Bhagwan Sri Ram visited Shabari for just 5 minutes? So don't cry." So he visited her for 5 minutes only. And she gave him tasted fruits. But Bhagwan Sri Ram is such a humble master, so humble, that he does not say to her, "How dare you, you crazy woman? You're giving me fruits after tasting them? Do you not know that this is a sin? This is not done." No. He is such a loving and humble master that he relishes that food. And we sing in the Bhog song, "Jo ras Shabari ke jhute mukh ber khaye payo rasiya, Janakpuri ke raj bhog maha so ras nahi payo rasiya." We're singing about Bhagwan Sri Ram, that Bhagwan Sri Ram, when he went to Janakpuri, when he went to marry Mother Sita, then he was given a lavish feast. And that feast was delicious, but not as delicious as those tasted fruits of Shabari. Why? Because in the feast there was formality. Oh, he's the son-in-law, we must respect him. There was formality. But in the jute ber, in the tasted wild fruits that Shabari gave, there was no such formality. There was only love, and love alone. And he responds to love. That does not mean that we should do the same, because Shabari's love was very, very great. It far surpassed our love. Our love is a little bit. Her love was so great. So great that she was not thinking what she's doing. She's not conscious of what she's doing. She only wants one thing, and that is that her Prabhu should have sweet fruits to eat. That's all she knows. So he is the most merciful and the most humble master. And we should think of him, love him, and accept him as our best friend as well. Vibhishan did, Sugriv did, in Bhagwan Sri Ramchandraji's lifetime, and during his pastimes, he had many friends. And he is our friend also, our eternal friend. He's a friend who has always been our friend. A friend who our friendship with him didn't start one day. Our friendship with him is eternal. Since beginning this time, he has been our friend. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhaya. Sakha. He's our Sakha, he's our friend. So Bhagwan Sri Ram is a friend. And we should love him and serve him as such. But we should not stop right there. We should go even further and love him more, even more, as a child. He's my child. He's God, I know. He's the father of all living creatures, I know. But he's also my child. I will think of him as his mother, or as his father, as his guardian. So Mother Kaushalya did. And their pastimes of Bhagwan Sri Ram as a small child. He's a prince, and he has many expensive toys, but one day he decided that he wants a different toy. Mother Kaushalya was playing with him in the courtyard of the palace, in the Angan, and Bhagwan Sri Ram saw the moon above, and he pointed to the moon, and Mother Kaushalya could not understand what he was saying, and he started fussing, started crying a little bit, and she didn't know what he was trying to say to her. Finally, because mothers have the sixth sense, she was able to understand that he wants that toy. He wants to play with that. He doesn't want any other toys. Those toys made of gold and silver and studded with gems and jewels, he doesn't want them. He wants that toy in the sky. So being resourceful as mothers are, Kaushalya asks for a platter, and she has it filled with water, and then the reflection of the moon, it shows in the water. And now little Bhagwan Sri Ram is so happy because he thinks, now I have this toy. It was up there, but now it's down here. And he splashes his little tiny hands in the water, and he's as happy as can be. So sweet he is. So he is my child. Or he's Kaushalya's child, and I am watching these pastimes, and I'm loving him as a child. And then he's not only a loving master, eternal friend, and our child, but also our beloved. He's the Priyatam. Priya means dear. So there is, in English we have good, better, best. So in Hindi, Priya, dear, the one who's even more dear. Priyatar, Priyatam, meaning the one who is most beloved. Priyatam, he is our Priyatam, he's our beloved. But now Bhagwan Sri Ram, you'd have to change his form to Bhagwan Sri Krishna, because Ravan's sister Shrupnakha, when she saw Bhagwan Sri Ram, she immediately fell in love with him. Because you see, when a pure soul sees God, that pure soul falls immediately in love. God and Guru are like magnets. A magnet attracts pure iron. So if you have these needles or something made of iron, and it's made of pure iron, that object will immediately go to the magnet, it will stick to the magnet. In the same way, a pure heart is attracted immediately to God and a divine messenger of God. Immediately. I remember a retreat in Toronto many, many years ago, and I was speaking about the importance of Guru, and I was speaking about Sri Maharaji, and after so much had been said, how Maharaji is a fifth Jagat Guru, Jagat Guruttam, all that had been said, there was a gentleman who asked me, but how do I find a real Guru? And I was just my mind was reeling with confusion. Didn't I just tell you in the last hour about a true Guru and who is a true Guru? But it was so amazing that before I had a chance to open my mouth and answer him, a little child got up and he said, that's simple, just go on the plane and go to Mangar. And I'll never forget that. That was so simple. Guru is right in front of you and you're asking, how do I find a true Guru? So the pure ones gravitate immediately towards a Guru. One may take 20 years to accept that Guru, and the other one may never accept him. They're all family members. And I've seen this in the same family. One sibling is telling the other, you should come to hear Didiji's lectures. You should hear her because Maharaji's, you should listen to Maharaji. I don't have time. That went on for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Finally, the other sibling came to a lecture, and I guess God and Guru knew they had this one chance, and she was attracted immediately after that. It was her time. And the other siblings, they were never convinced. They don't want to hear about it. So it happens in one and the same family. When you have a pure heart, that pure heart becomes attracted towards God and Guru very, very easily. And the others, many others, just keep asking, where is a true Guru? How can I trust a Guru? There's no true Guru in the world. That's a doubting mind. Because after all, the same person doesn't say, how do I know that in this restaurant they're not going to give me food laden with poison? How do I know that? How do I know if I give my money, I'll get the goods in return? How do I know that? How do I know if That person does not have any doubts in the world, but when it comes to Guru and God, there's lots of questions, lots of doubts. And I'm not saying that we should have blind faith, not at all. Blind faith is never lasting faith. But once you have heard, once you have understood, then the attraction is natural if the heart is pure. But the one with an impure heart will never want to hear anything, does not want to listen. I don't want to listen. These people, they just have free time. I don't have time. I'm busy. Busy as a bee. I'm working like a dog. We're comparing ourselves to animals. Busy as a bee, working like an animal, working like a dog. Let's be humans. Let's get some time. Let's set some time aside to listen to Guru's teachings. So Shurpanakha became immediately attracted towards Bhagwan Shri Ram. And she said, Tum sama purusha namo sama nari. There is, and she had transformed herself into a very beautiful, alluring young woman, that anybody who would see her would be just looking at her without blinking. She had that power. And then she said to Bhagwan Shri Ram, I have never seen a male like you, and there's no female like me. She was very blunt, but Bhagwan Shri Ram smiled and said, no, I have one wife and I will not take another. And then, he said he pointed her to Lakshman and said, you can ask him. And Lakshman said, why would you want to be with a servant when you can be with a master? And she went back and forth, and she then tried to attack Mother Sita, and then her nose and ears were cut off. Everybody knows this story from the Ramayan. So, what this means is that although Shurpanakha, she is a very pure soul. Yes, in the body of a demoness, but she is a pure soul. She's playing a part in the Leelas, in Ram Leela, in the pastimes of Bhagwan Shri Ram. Yet she is attracted towards him. She desires him as the beloved, but Bhagwan Shri Ram says, no, not this time around. But I shall come back as Krishna towards the end of Dwapar Yug, towards the end of the age of Dwapar. And then you will also come back. And then I shall fulfill your pure desire. And Shurpanakha came back from Treta. She came back to the end of Dwapar and as Kubja, and her pure desire was fulfilled by Sri Krishna, who lived with her as her beloved. So, when we want to love God as a beloved, we have to go to the other form of Bhagwan Shri Ram, and that is Sri Krishna. It's very simple. Same God, because there is only one God. Many a time, a person asks, well, you Hindus, you believe in many gods, don't you? No, there is only one God. Veda say, Eko Devah Sarvabhuteshu Gudha Sarvavyapi Sarvabhutantaratma Karmadhyaksha Sarvalokadhivasa Sakshi Cheta Kevalo Nirgunascha. There's one God who dwells in the heart of every living creature. He is the eternal witness. He watches, he sees everything. He is a witness to each and every thought of each and every individual soul. And he gives the fruits of the actions to his human children. So there's one God, but Ananta Nama Rupaya Vishnave. He has unlimited names and countless forms. Bhagwan Shri Ram came for a specific purpose on earth. And he is known as Maryada Purushottam. He does everything by the book. He is a serious avatar. He is the best son to his parents. He is a most wonderful king. He's just the best. He does everything by the book. He forsakes his own happiness for the sake of his subjects. Maryada Purushottam. But he comes back as Krishna, and as Krishna he becomes Leela Purushottam. He performs very sweet pastimes, and he allows us to think of him even as the beloved. This is why Rasik saints, they who are the topmost, at the topmost level of topmost saints, Rasik saints, they who are intoxicated with the sweetest nectar of Sri Krishna, they suggest that we think about Bhagwan Shri Ram as Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Because when Bhagwan Shri Ram returns to earth as Krishna, then there are 4 nectars that he gives to devotees that he does not give in any other form. One such nectar is Leela Madhuri, the pastimes, the nectar of the pastimes. His pastimes as Krishna are simply unique. They're unique, and he performs the greatest number of pastimes. The stories of Sri Krishna that you hear, those are his pastimes, and at no other time, in no other form, does he perform such pastimes. Another nectar is that of Murli Madhuri. When he plays the flute, when Sri Krishna plays the flute, then it seems that the countless universes are falling at his lotus feet. When he plays the flute, even the creatures of the forest, birds, they fall down from the branches of the trees. The deer, they stop running, they go into a state of samadhi when they hear the sweet sound of Krishna's flute. Rupa Madhuri, his beauty is such that he attracts even himself. He attracts his own heart by his beauty. Roop dekhi apanar Krishner hoy chamatkar. Aswadite mane uthe kam. Shri Krishna becomes attracted by his own beauty. He is not only Swajana Mohan, he not only attracts the hearts of his devotees, he is also Swamana Mohan. He attracts even his own heart with his beauty. Radha and Krishna were standing on the shore of the Yamuna, on the edge of the Yamuna river, and Shri Krishna saw his reflection in the water, and he was so overwhelmed looking at that beauty that he almost fell headlong into the water. But Radharani noticed this and she pulled him back. And she thought, my beloved has fallen in love with his own beauty. So Shri Krishna manifests the sweetness that he does not manifest, or he manifests the amount of sweetness which is the greatest, and he does not manifest that sweetness in any other form. So we should love him as the loving master. And this sentiment is called Dasya Bhav. Das means servant. This is a servant-master relationship. Dasya Bhav. Ve mere swami, main unka sevak. The Ramayan says, As abhiman jai jani bhore, main sevak raghupati pati more. O Bhagwan Shri Ram, may I always be proud of the fact that I am your humble servant, that you are my master. And one above that, the sentiment above that is Sakhya Bhav. Sakha means friend. He is my friend, my eternal friend. And the sentiment, even greater sentiment, is Vatsalya Bhav. He is my child. You see, when someone is reading the Bhagavatam, let's say, in which there are many, many stories of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, then if he skips over the pages that describe Shri Krishna killing demons, because he thinks, well, I know he's God, he can do anything, so if he's killed a few demons, what's the big deal? But he wants to read again and again those pages where Bhagwan Vedavyas, in which Bhagwan Vedavyas has described little Krishna being afraid of his mother. Yashoda has tied him to the grinding stone and he's begging for his liberation. One of the names of Sri Krishna is Mukund, meaning the giver of liberation. And he, the giver of liberation, is asking for his own liberation. Maya, please release me. I promise you I'll never eat dirt again. I promise I'll never steal butter again. He makes many, many promises. And Yashoda Maya frightens him. She chastises him because she doesn't want him to get spoiled. So Vatsalya Bhav, he's my child. The supreme father of all living beings, he is my child. Because then the love will increase. I can serve him more and more. And the highest sentiment is called Madhurya Bhav, that is lover-beloved relationship. I am his preyasi and he is my beloved. In fact, the scriptures say, Govinda eva purusho brahmadyah striya eva hi. Govind, meaning Shri Krishna, is the only male, and all else, everyone else, brahmadyah, Brahma Adi, Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar, everyone else is a female. In other words, he's the only beloved. He's the only one who is the beloved. So he's my beloved. I have a personal relationship with him. That is what we must work on. That is a relationship that we must cultivate with him. And when we are spending some time in solitude, just forming those relationships with him, and we are using bhajans and kirtans, we're singing them, we are, and perhaps playing a musical instrument, or just listening to the bhajans and kirtans and following after them, then tears will come, because we are doing Roop Dhyan. Roop Dhyan. Tears will come. And with that, the desire to actually see him, the desire to serve him. I want to see Bhagwan Shri Ram. I want to feed him with my own hands. I want to massage his lotus feet. I want to press them. I want to fan him with a hand fan as he sleeps. I want to do so much for him. I want to do Ashtayami Seva. I want to serve him from morning till night. That desire intensifies as we spend more and more time. Our subconscious mind gets transformed, and then suddenly we are able to think about Bhagwan more and more. We are able to think about God more and more. Why else should we be going to satsang? Why should we be going to places of pilgrimage? Why should we be going to satsang, to mandirs, to places of worship? So that not only our conscious mind, but so that our subconscious mind may become transformed. So then, without even knowing it, we are becoming more and more devoted. I'll tell you something about the subconscious mind, which I experienced for myself, and I was fascinated by it, and I have to tell you the story. I was in Malaysia, and we were having a retreat. And the devotees, the very young devotees, they wanted to go on a banana boat in the ocean. I was game for it, all right. I didn't know any better. So they put me right in the front, and then they're sitting in the back. And I did not know that these banana boats, at one point, they go really fast, and the driver, they just goes around the bend, and you feel like you're going to, I felt I was going to just go into the water. And I started screaming, slow down, slow down. And of course, he could not hear me because the boat was making so much sound. He couldn't hear me. Then I thought, well, he probably doesn't understand English. So I started screaming in Malay. I don't know that language. I started screaming, Kurangkan laju, Kurangkan laju. And at the same time, I'm thinking, how do I know this? How do I know Kurangkan laju? Well, it turns out that I was being driven somewhere, and I'm very interested in languages, so I asked the devotee who was driving me, I said, what does that mean? What does that mean? And he said, I said, well, that those words, Kurangkan laju, and he had said, it means reduce speed. And that was weeks before. So essentially I was telling this banana boat driver, this young kid, reduce speed, reduce speed. And that was quite a fascinating experience. That fascinated me. Oh my goodness, I did not know consciously that I should say that. I don't know Malay that much. I know a few words because I was living in Malaysia for a while. I'm visiting for a while. So I'll know words, but not like that, like reduce speed. I didn't know that. So and I became very fascinated with the subconscious mind. Since then, I became more alert, more aware of it. And that's what happens to our subconscious mind when we give it some ideas. And we don't know those ideas are being stored in the subconscious mind, but they are there. And if we are associating with devotees, if we are associating with those who provide a pure atmosphere, environment, then the subconscious mind does get the help it needs. And then before we know it, we don't realize it. The conscious mind does not realize it, but the subconscious mind is being transformed. But of course, we want our conscious mind to be transformed also. But that's what happens. When we spend some time alone with God and Guru, it does happen. But that everyday practice is a must. Because at the end of the day, Bhagwan, the Supreme Lord, does not care for how many shloks we know from the scriptures, how many mantras we know. Do we have a correct pronunciation? Do you have a correct pronunciation? No. There was a villager, he goes to the temple and he pronounces Sanskrit very wrongly. He says, just like you say, Ramayan Namah, Krishnaya Namah, he was saying Vishnaya Namah. And a scholar, Sanskrit scholar standing next to him said, oh, what a fool he is. It's not Vishnaya Namah, it's Vishnave Namah. But this man's heart is filled with pride, full of pride, because I know more Sanskrit than this guy. He doesn't know anything. And he's conjugating wrongly. But God is pleased with the man who is speaking from his heart. It is wrong, it is incorrect Sanskrit, but does God care? No. He cares for what you're feeling inside in your heart. He doesn't care for age. Dhruv and Prahlad were very little children, 5, 6 years of age. He doesn't care for family background. Vidur was son of a maidservant. He doesn't care for the conduct once you become devotee, because Vyad, that's Valmiki, was a murderer and he became a devotee. God did not shun him just because he had committed many murders. He had reformed himself, so God did not look at that. So Sudama was extremely dear to God. Sudama didn't have any money. He didn't have money. He hardly had food. He hardly had enough money to support his family. So God does not look at anything else. He doesn't look at height, weight, color of the skin. He doesn't look at anything like that. He cares only for the heart, how filled your heart is with love for him. That's all he cares for. And the Ramayan inspires us to love Bhagwan Sri Ram. It inspires us to practice devotion. It tells us that love is the only thing that matters. Jagat Guru Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj says, भगवान को प्यार से प्यार है, प्रेम से प्रेम करते हैं वो. And prem is the highest entity. Love is the highest entity. प्रेमाधीन ब्रह्म श्याम वेद ने बताया, याते आय नाम प्रेम मंदिर धराया. In Vrindavan there is a beautiful temple inspired by Sri Maharaj Ji, built by Sri Maharaj Ji. It's called Prem Mandir. And when Sri Maharaj Ji was asked, why did you name this temple Prem Mandir? You didn't name it Radha Krishna Mandir or Sita Ram Mandir. Sri Maharaj Ji said, no, according to the Vedas, love is something that controls even God. So I have named this temple Prem Mandir, the temple of love, because love is greater than Sita and Ram. Love is greater than Radha and Krishna. So another explanation Shri Maharaj Ji gives is, प्रेम ने ही ब्रह्म को भी छाछ पे नचाया, याते मोहि प्रेम मंदिर नाम भाया. I like the name Prem Mandir for this temple because love, Prem, is something that forced the Supreme Lord of countless universes to dance for a little bit of chach, little bit of buttermilk offered by his great devotees, the gopis. The gopis would ask Sri Krishna, Kanhaiya, dance for me. Why should I dance for you? I will give you chach, I will give you buttermilk. And greedy for buttermilk, he would dance for the gopis. Sri Maharaj Ji says, love has made him dance to the sound of the gopis clapping, and he's dancing for a little bit of buttermilk. So love is even greater than God. That's why I have named this temple the Temple of Love, Prem Mandir. And the first mandir Sri Maharaj Ji built was Bhakti Mandir in his birthplace, Sri Kripalu Dham Mangad. And Bhakti also means love, devotion. The temple of devotion, the temple of love. Love is the supreme entity, even greater than God, because love makes God like a puppet in the devotee's hands. Because of love, Bhagwan Sri Krishna is driving the chariot for Arjun. Because of love, Bhagwan Sri Krishna forgets his promise that he had made, that he would not lift a single weapon during the battle of Mahabharata. But Bhishma Pitamaha was a great devotee, and he had made a vow that he would force Sri Krishna to lift a weapon. So because of love for his devotee, Bhagwan Sri Krishna broke his own promise just to keep the promise of his devotee. Bhagwan Sri Ram eats the wild fruits given by Shabari. He does everything for the devotee because of love. So love is something that we must develop. That is the message of the Ramayan. And how do we protect that love that we accumulate? That is a topic for tomorrow's session, which is the final session of this series. Boliye Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Siyavar Ramchandra ki Jai. Jagat Guru Uttam Shri Kripalu Ji Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. We will sing once again from the book, Bhajan book number 1, page number is 123. Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Jai Ram, 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 Jai Jai Ram. करे योगी रमन याते तेरो नाम राम. करे योगी रमन याते तेरो नाम राम. याते तेरो नाम राम. याते तेरो नाम राम. करे योगी रमन याते तेरो नाम राम. करे योगी रमन याते तेरो नाम राम. जाते जग जामे जग जो है जग सोई राम. याते जग जामे जग जो है जग सोई राम. जाते जग जामे जग जो है जग सोई राम. जाते जग जामे जग जो है जग सोई राम. जय जय राम, 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 जय जय राम. नाची निज छवि लखी अस मोहक राम. नाच निज छवि लखी अस मोहक राम. अस मोहक राम. अस मोहक राम. नाच निज छवि लखी अस मोहक राम।
नाचे निज छवि लखी अस मोहक राम।
नाचे निज छवि लखी अस मोहक राम।
नाचे निज छवि लखी अस मोहक राम।
जय जय राम जय जय 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 राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
तो ही भूलूं ना भूले हूँ, भूलूं ना भूले हूँ पल छिन राम।
तो ही भूलूं न भूले हूँ पल छिन राम।
तो ही भूलूं ना भूले हूँ पल छिन राम।
तो ही भूलूं न भूले हूँ पल छिन राम।
मैं हूँ पतित पतित पावन तुम 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 राम।
जय जय राम जय जय 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 राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
बिनु कारण करुणा कर तुम 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 राम।
बिनु कारण बिनु कारण करुणा कर तुम राम।
बिनु कारण करुणा कर तुम राम।
जय जय राम जय जय 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 राम।
बिनु कारण करुणा कर तुम राम।
बिनु कारण करुणा कर तुम राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय राम
गाइए,
जय
ताली
जय
बजाइए।
राम, जय जय राम जय जय राम।
जय जय जुग जुग जिए जोरी, जुग जुग जिए जोरी सीताराम।
जय जय जुग जुग जिए जोरी सीताराम
जोरी सीताराम
जोरी सीताराम
जय जय जुग जुग जिए जोरी सीताराम
जय जय जुग जुग जिए जोरी सीताराम
जोरी सीताराम
जोरी सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम
जय जय जुग जुग जिए जोरी सीताराम
जय जय जुग जुग जिए जोरी सीताराम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय पूर्ण काम सुख धाम सीताराम
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 जय जय हमरी हूँ सुधी लो सीताराम
जय जय हमारी हो सुधी लो सीताराम
जय जय हमरी हूँ सुधी लो सीताराम
जय जय हमारी हो सुधी लो सीताराम
सीताराम 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 सीताराम
सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम सीताराम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
टुक हे रहु मोढिक हे रहु मोढिक सीताराम
टुक हे रहु मोढिग सीताराम
टुक हे रहु मोढिक सीताराम
टुक हे रहु मोढिग सीताराम
तुम हो कृपालु जय 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 सीताराम
जय सीताराम
जय सीताराम
जय सीताराम सीताराम
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 सीताराम
सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम
जय 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 सीताराम सीताराम
सीताराम सीताराम
जय सीताराम सीताराम
तुम हो कृपालु जय सीताराम
तुम हो कृपालु जय सीताराम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम
जय जय राम जय जय राम
सियावर रामचंद्र की